Well, for a new head coach and a new GM, the first thing you have to do is win the press conference. I think they did that. What is up, Fins fans? That's right, this is my second video out today. Actually, it'll probably be the AFC NFC Championship was probably going to be either late Friday night, like really late Friday night, or early Saturday morning, and then this one should be released Saturday afternoon. Of course, here in Kentucky, we're supposed to get a ton of snow, so good time to make videos, right? But this video is going to be about the presser for John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, and some of the things that was said during the press conference, and I think they said all of the right things. Now, the big thing has been defensive coordinator, and I don't know, by the time this is released, they may have an offensive and defensive coordinator, but at the time that I am recording this, we still do not. I do know they have talked about the linebackers coach for Green Bay. Why not? We're just going to be the Southern Green Bay Packers. But I don't think the defensive coordinator is not going to be. It's going to be like the offensive coordinator during the Mike McDaniel time here. It really doesn't matter, because one of the first things I want to talk about is Jeff Hafley has come out in that presser and said, yes, he will be doing the defensive play calls for the Dolphins, and we'll see how it goes. Head coaches have made that work on several teams where they're calling plays. It's just it's not worked well here. Adam Gase done it where he was the play caller. Mike McDaniel done it, the play caller, and it's just one of those, when you're the head coach, I feel like you have enough to deal with. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine with them saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then leave it up to the offensive coordinator, or this set I want to do here. But the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, I think, at least needs to be there and be competent enough to run the offense or run the defense, with the head coach concentrating on other aspects of coaching. That's my opinion. That's the way I think it should be. I'm not saying the head coach should just let somebody else call all the plays. He should definitely be there saying, hey, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, now go make it happen. And let the defensive coordinator do his job, offensive coordinator do their job. So we're back at the fact, it doesn't matter if they bring in the linebackers coach for Green Bay. Fine. I wish I had his name down. I do not. Looks bad on me, but that's fine, because I don't think it matters who we bring in at defensive coordinator if Hafley is going to be doing the play calling. It just doesn't matter. So that was number one on the list. Now, they also talked about how they wanted to build the team. I love this because if you can go back and check out my videos. Some of this is what I had said, because Everybody's wanting us. Everybody's talking quarterback. We need to get a quarterback. Tua gonna go. Need a quarterback. Need a quarterback. Need a quarterback. And the first thing they said, they're not going to concentrate on a quarterback. At least, well, that's not what they said. Now I'm doing this verbatim. They didn't say they wasn't going to concentrate on a quarterback, but they made it clear that that was not their primary goal starting the team. Okay? They talked about building the trenches. They want to be physical, and they want to be a tough football team. Now, they did. I didn't write this down, but I had read somewhere, and the problem is I don't remember which one said it, Hafley or Sullivan, but they were talking about the cold weather, playing in cold weather, and the fact that talking about trenches, your big guys in the middle, big won't get smaller, but speed will slow down. I understand that. That makes perfect sense to me. If you're big, you're going to be big. If you're going to be strong, you're going to be strong. The weather doesn't matter. The speed thing, it shouldn't. You wouldn't think it would slow you down, but it does. The weather affects you in that sense. Now, hot weather can slow you down too, just because of cramps. But that's a whole nother story. But I get what he's saying, and I love that. I've said it a billion times. I would love to have a run-dominant team. I think that would be tremendous. I would love to have a very strong, run-oriented team. And I would love for offensive line and defensive line to be built. And that's what they're talking about. They want to build the trenches first. They want to be tough in the sense of, as they put it, run the ball even when they know we're going to run the ball. We have to be physical enough that even when they know we're going to run it, we're going to run it and dare you to stop it. That's a win for me. And that's why I say, that's what I talk about by winning the press conference. Because that's all we have to go by right now. I've said repeatedly, I want to see the process and how it goes. And we're not going to know any of that until, honestly, the first couple of games in 2026. Even preseason, you get kind of a hint of it, and OTAs and all that stuff, you get kind of a hint of at least what Hafley is. And of course the players, whatever players we do bring in. But you can't critique anybody on anything that they say. I mean, let's face it, Chris Greer talked about the trenches all the time. He just never did it. So you're saying you're going to do it. Now we need to see action. You got the words right. Do we get to see some action? So we got a draft, free agency, all those nice things to go through. We'll see how they do. And the other thing they said that I did like, that they would build the team from the inside out, which goes back to the trenches. They're going to start it at the trenches. And what they said, they want to have things in place when we get our quarterback. Now, that pretty much tells me Tua's not going to be here. Surprise! Everybody knows Tua wasn't going to be here. Now, could he be here this next year? It is possible. If they can't get a trade, unless they just want to release him, it is possible that he could be here for this first year. Now, whether he comes in as the starter, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it will be a competition regardless. I have actually said in the last video I did about I think that was when we hired Hafley, that as far as the players we have, Quinn Ewers is the only one that I think might have a shot at still being on this football team. But a lot of things have to happen with Tua with that contract. So there is the minute, I'm talking maybe 10% chance that Tua could be here next year. At least a little while next year. And they may just outright release him, go the Denver Broncos way. It can be done, but it is tedious, and you have to hit on your draft picks. And I mean, you have to hit on your draft picks. So we'll see how that goes. But point being, they want to build from the inside out, and they want everything ready. They even made the comment of, how many times have you gotten your quarterback and you bring him in and he's going to be hurt all the time because you can't protect him? Makes perfect sense to me. Have everything ready when your quarterback comes in so he can play. And that's what I think we have to do in this draft. So I've got their back so far. I've actually said it in other videos that I do not think we need to get a quarterback this year as far as draft. Unless it's just somebody late that we can't pass up, and somebody that is not going to be a starter right away, then you maybe go ahead and take a shot, take a chance on drafting a quarterback in a mid-round or something like that. But again, we've talked about, I think 2027 draft is going to be the quarterback draft, if you really want a quarterback. And I will say this, listening to the presser, Hafley's a lot easier to listen to than Mike McDaniel. He is a lot more clear, a lot more straight to the point. I do like the way he talks. Just saying, I like the way he talks a lot better than Mike McDaniel. I think I can handle some of his press conferences a lot better. And again, they talked about Tua. Again, it was a PR response, but he's not wrong. When they asked him about Tua, he basically said, hey, I can't comment on that now. We just got here. We have to look at contracts. We have to talk to the player. And there's nothing that you can really say, come in and just say, yes, Tua's going to be here. No, Tua's not going to be here. Everybody knows that is up in the air. That's for them to figure out once they get in the building and start going through. I mean, there is so much crap that Chris Grier has, the mess that Chris Grier has left them. So this is not going to be an easy fix. And I thought it was the perfect response. I mean, you don't know. Like I said, maybe there's that 10% chance that Tua comes back. Just because you're going to have to pay him anyway. And if you like what you see, you like what you hear when you talk to him, he can at least be that transition quarterback. They're going to go with somebody else. I don't think that is a question whatsoever. Before everybody comes at me with Tua can't be the guy here. I don't think Tua can be the guy here either. But it just may be a financial situation. Or maybe they just cut him and we just eat the contract. I don't know what they'll do. And I think they made an honest answer when they said, you know what? We don't know what we're going to do yet. We got to talk to Tua. We got to look at the contracts. And I say contracts, not just his. There's a ton of contracts they're going to have to go through, figure out who they want here, who they need to get in the right places. So a lot for them to go through. So the Tua question is going to be there until he is no longer there, or it's going to be there all through preseason until the start of the season. So we'll see how that goes. And in a nutshell, that was basically the things that they talked about. I mean, there was some other things. I know Hafley got very emotional at the end of his presser about his family. I actually like that. I do not mind a coach that can wear his feelings on his sleeve. He's not afraid to open up and shed a tear here and there. That stuff doesn't bother me. People giving Josh Allen a hard time for being emotional after their loss. There's nothing wrong. That means they're human. That just means they're human. So I do not have a problem with an emotional head coach that can put himself out there the way that Hafley did when it came down to his family and stuff. And I do like the fact that he said, I left this at the end because I knew I would get emotional, and that way, basically I can get emotional and I can get off the stage. So I did like that. And then, of course, the other thing that people are talking about that I think has been blown completely out of proportion is, of course, the Stephen Ross introducing John Eric Sullivan, and the fact that he had to look down at the name before he said it. Now, I get he's got one job, and that's to introduce John Eric Sullivan. He's also 85 years old. Okay? I'm 53, and I have trouble at times, even though I've got this stuff, information in front of me. It takes me a while to get down somebody's name. At my job, I've told people that, hey, I probably am not going to remember your name unless you've been here a decade, because people come and go that much. So, to me, to the people that are just, wow, he can't even remember the dude's name. Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember people's names. I remember faces a lot better than I do names. And I think this is just a dead issue. I think anybody that is trying to call out Stephen Ross because of the fact that he had to look at a piece of paper. Why is that paper there? Why is those notes there? So he doesn't, if he does forget, he can glance down and say, oh yeah, it's Sullivan. Maybe he was like, wait, is it Sullivan? No, Sullivan. I mean, it could have been anything. Just grow up. I mean, and the dude's 85 years old. There may be some forgetfulness there. I mean, let's face it. And I'm sorry, a lot of people are commenting on it, and I just threw this in here. I seen it when it happened, and to me, it was just kind of funny. I don't think it was a big deal. It's no worse than the fact that Walmart, when they bought the Denver Broncos, didn't know the commissioner's name. Okay, it's not that big a deal. I guarantee you, if Sullivan comes in and kills it, Stephen Ross will never forget how to pronounce his name again. And you see it all the time. I mean, has he had time to get that situated? Yeah, I'm sure. Obviously he has. But, you get up in front of people, sometimes you get, even just getting in front of a camera, I go blank a lot of times. That's why I have to edit a lot more than probably a lot of content people have to do. Just because I get to a point where I want to say something and it's just not coming out because my mind went blank for just those few minutes. And unfortunately, I don't write everything down. I probably should, but I don't write everything down. So a lot of times I do miss little things, or it just doesn't come in soon enough and there's like this long pause. That's why, because I just, at that point, I've lost track. So to me, no big deal. And the funny thing is, it was like half a second. I mean, it was literally, I want to introduce John Eric Sullivan. You know, I mean, he glanced just to make sure he had the guy's name right. Big deal. That's my take on it. Big deal. It does not matter. But that's it. That's it in a nutshell as far as the interview. I thought they said everything correctly. I was happy with it. Now we just have to see where they go from here. The other thing I was wanting to bring up, and again, this is one of those moments that I'm talking about with Stephen Ross. Because I can't remember, they did talk about an offensive coordinator coming in, and I will put it in the comments after I do the video, because I'm not going to get up and go look it up. And I'm not set up where I've got a computer in front of me like a lot of these people. A lot of these people have computers just set up and they can just or they have their phone available. I record on my phone, so therefore I can't just turn and look up something real quick. It's not at my fingertips. I think it's Minnesota's offensive coordinator, and I really don't know his name. I got nothing to look at. I'm as bad as Stephen Ross. But I think it's the Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator, I believe, is who they're looking at. Yeah, I could be wrong about that. But like I said, I'll leave it in the comments myself, who that is that they talked to or was thinking about talking to, asked permission to talk to, whatever it is. But again, I think they won the press conference. I think they said everything correctly. Now we just have to see if they follow up on it, because Chris Greer said a lot of things correctly. He just didn't follow through on it. And then, of course, you know, we were more worried about the offensive line than he was. Or I guess they were. But it comes down to he was. And you can't win in this league without an offensive line. To me, the offensive line is more important than the quarterback. You know. So many quarterbacks have had to leave this league early just because when they were drafted, they were behind an offensive line that couldn't protect them, and they just got the crap kicked out of them. Look at Derek Carr's brother in, what was it, Houston? I can't remember, again, can't remember his name either. I remember Derek Carr, but I can't remember his brother's name, who got literally just the crap kicked out of him when he got to the league. He never really got a shot. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that didn't get a real shot and got called busts and all this stuff, when the fact was they had no help. They didn't have protection. They didn't have the right pieces around them. And it seems like that's what Sullivan and Hafley are trying to do, is get the right pieces in place so when they do get their quarterback, then there's no excuses. They know if he's either good or he's not good. We ain't going to have to worry about, well, he wasn't good because of this. We want to get the right people around him first, and then just let him go play quarterback. And I do not have a problem with that whatsoever. However, that is the end of the video. Thank you guys for checking this out. Again, Finn's Temporal Focus. Like, subscribe. and the comments. That's the main thing. Anybody that disagrees with anything, maybe you just disagree with the Stephen Ross thing. He's an old senile guy that needs to get rid of the team. Well, everybody agrees that he needs to get rid of the team. But the fact is, he's not going to get rid of the team. The team will go to his son-in-law. It's been pretty much put into stone that his son-in-law will be the owner when he decides to let the team go. So it's going to be in-house for a while. So for all the people who saying need to sell the team, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So let's just hope that John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley can get us into at least respectability. Because right now, I would take respectability. Because I don't even think we've had that in a while. So, guys, make good decisions. Hopefully, again, the Dolphins have made a good decision in Sullivan and Hafley. So, we'll see how it goes. But until then, you guys make good decisions and fins up.